and figured I would just keep talking about more topics around weight. Actually, I never really haven't thought about what to talk about this time. But yeah, last time we talked about the two different types of mindsets of life in general, and which one is probably better, objectively speaking, to hit your goals and to enjoy the process, really. At the end of the day, life is full of pleasure and pain. Yet everybody tries to optimize for the pleasure. Nobody wants to have more pain. But you can't have one without the other. It's literally impossible. If you just try to have pleasure without pain, you will experience pain by default. That is the way the world works. But anyways, today I wanted to focus more on the working out side of things. We haven't really talked about fitness at all. What I focus on primarily is weight loss, but I'm a personal trainer primarily, and so I'll talk about the training principles I use with my clients so you can effectively know exactly what I would do if you were my client, so you can do it for yourself completely free of charge, and you can save yourself $1,000 a month. So how I structure the mesocycles or the training blocks with my clients is I take a look at their entire health history, and I see if they have any health issues, any medical concerns that would basically prevent them from training in the first place. Key factors are like high blood pressure, high heart rate, resting heart rate over 100 beats per minute is a complete no-go. If there's any injuries that would seriously conflict with someone's ability to train, obviously I would have to send them to a doctor for a checkup first and foremost. But these are the kinds of things that hey, what's going on? Welcome to the stream, Diabolic. I can't really check out anything right now because I'm driving, but I appreciate you being here. Do I like rap? Yeah, it's okay sometimes. I'm not a massive fan, but I'll listen to it here and there. I don't mind it. I don't hate rap, let's say it like that. But yeah, take a look at the health questionnaire of clients. By the way, if you guys follow, it would be much appreciated. I talk about topics related to fitness and weight loss in the future. And it helps the channel a lot. I'm trying to hit 100 subscribers. We're like 3 subscribers away from 100 subscribers. You can also feel free to ask me anything you want. But I take a look at the client's questionnaire, and we take a look. I want to first make sure, like, are you fit to be able to work out? Assuming you check up all the boxes with the workouts, then the next step is to take a look at what your goals are. Make sure you don't have any conflicting tight areas, not necessarily injuries, but we will do a physical assessment to kind of take a look, a postural assessment to see if there's any areas of your posture that are messed up. The physical assessment is more so to look at any areas of weakness. If you have no range of motion in your shoulders, we want to see like how your body moves essentially, if there are any fundamental issues there, and if there are, I will create the first block of training will be specifically focused on building up your body from the inside out, making sure your body is moving in the right ways, with the right movement, so that when we start adding weight over time, you're not going to injure yourself and you're going to be able to get the most out of the movement, right? Assuming that you have no issues, then we move on to the next step. So I would create, based on your goals, based on your movement patterns, an entire plan and template for the entire year, which is called a macro cycle. You'd have a whole game plan for the year based on where you want to go, what is important to you, what you value out of fitness, right? What's going on, man? Welcome. once we figure out the game plan, we break it down into steps. So essentially, let's say you want to run a marathon for whatever reason. God knows why people want to run marathons, but let's say you want to run a marathon. Where are you headed to? I am heading home from clients to do some more work from home. I am from Toronto, Canada. What about you? Bro, this thing keeps driving me nuts. I gotta fix this. It keeps sliding off. But yeah, say somebody wants to run a marathon, we create a game plan based on that. Maybe the first 3 months is dedicated to just making sure you're not tight and stiff, you're able to move in the right direction. Then that 3-month block would be what's known as a mesocycle. So we have macro cycle, which is 12 months. Mesocycle is typically 6 to 12 weeks. And it's a block where you focus on one particular goal that builds up to the other goals that you want. So one mesocycle could be focused on building the fundamentals when it comes to mobility movement patterns. Welcome to the stream, Shanice. How's it going? Watching you from India? Nice, brother. Well, welcome. Thank you for stopping by. Once we figure out the main goal for the year, we have these goals underlying that. So 6 to 12 weeks is a mesocycle. First mesocycle, usually, if you're a brand new beginner, is we're working on some sort of movement pattern that is inefficient. Usually most people aren't like picture perfect with their body, so we want to make sure your body is moving in the right directions. And we are also building fundamental movement patterns like squatting, deadlifting, rowing, push-ups, the basic building blocks of movement itself. We want to make sure that your body's moving in the right way and with proper form and technique before we start advancing you from there. Then the next mesocycles after that will usually be some sort of periodization where we're slowly increasing the amount of weight that you can lift over time. Usually, I don't think there's any personal trainer in the world that wouldn't do weights. I think pretty much every personal training certification talks about the importance of weight training, and essentially weight training is the best way to cover all grounds. If you want better endurance, weight training. If you want better mobility, flexibility, weight training. If you want better strength, more muscle, weight training. You want to lose weight, weight training. The reason why is because weight training can cover all the areas at the same time, whereas if you only do cardio, you only get that one specific benefit. So most people are tight for time, and so if you want to get the most bang for your buck when it comes to from a training standpoint, you should always focus primarily on weight training. If you have a crazy amount of time after, then you can do other stuff as a luxury. But if you're very strapped for time, the most important thing for anyone to do is weight training. For example, if you want to work on endurance, you can do weights, but in the 15 to 30 rep range. If you want to focus on strength, you could do weights with anywhere between the 1 to 5 rep range, heavy weights. If you want to build muscle, you could do anywhere between 5 to 15 reps for muscle building. Same for weight loss. If you want to do cardio, we got the endurance style, but we could also do shorter rest periods, back-to-back exercises to get your heart rate up. If you want to do more strength focused or muscle building, you take longer breaks in between, so you isolate the muscle rather than being out of breath. You could basically, if you want to improve your flexibility, you would do the stretches in a controlled way, moving through the range of motion with a bunch of weight. I'll give you a perfect example. Squatting is a great way to improve your hip mobility, to improve your spinal mobility, so you can actually open up your stiff joints. If you squat with a full range of motion, you'll actually over time increase the flexibility you have in your hips. Another perfect example is pull-ups. Anything where you're in the hanging position, that will improve the range of motion in your shoulders. So a lot of the times just doing weight training will also improve your mobility and your flexibility as well. So you really just cover all areas of fitness just by doing weights. Weight training is so important. And it's the one thing most people don't do, ironically enough, because they're worried about the form. Anyways. So that's another aspect to cover. Weight training, if there's only one type of training you should do, it should be weights first. With that, whatever extra time you have beyond that, you can add in other stuff like stretching or, well, it wouldn't really be stretching. It would be more like mobility work. That could be a separate live stream topic for another day. But essentially, I've just learned recently myself actually that stretching is pretty much pointless, which is kind of crappy to hear because that's what I've been doing with my clients. The old belief used to be that, I mean, the stretching that most people do, which is like 10 to 30 seconds, is really useless. What I had heard is that 2 minutes or longer is what it takes to really start expanding the muscle fiber. But to be honest, I haven't really had much results. Some clients have gotten results, some clients haven't. And I noticed that the clients that do get results are the ones that really push themselves into that stretch. You can't just passively stretch. So what I noticed, it has to be like an intense stretch. But anyways, that's another topic for another day. But yeah, essentially focusing on weights first is primary objective number one. Then for number two, we look at your training. We look at your training block, what your budget is, how many days a week are you available to train. So typically what's recommended is at least 3 times a week, especially if you're a very bare bones beginner and you're very out of shape. Twice a week could be more than enough, 2 full body sessions. Once you start getting a little bit in the hang of it, 3 times a week is kind of the general minimum recommended dose of weight training. And you're looking at, an hour per session, so 3 hours a week of weight training. You have 168 hours a week, so find the time. But essentially, that is what we would do. So I would basically take a look, however many times a week you're available to train, is how many different aspects of fitness that we can train within that training program. For example, if you could only train with me twice a week, both of those sessions would have to be weight training, because that's the most important thing. So we would essentially do 2 full body sessions per week, and there wouldn't be much room for cardiovascular improvement unless we did like a full body, high intensity interval style training circuit. So we would build a ton of strength. We could do that, but we can't really develop cardiovascular capacity to any great degree just with twice a week. However, when we start getting into 3 times a week, 4 times a week, 5 times a week, I've had clients that have trained with me 6 days a week. Actually, a lot of clients that have trained with me 6 days a week. Now we can start getting into some cool stuff, because I can actually start customizing the training plan for working on a bunch of different things at the same time. For example, we can do 4 times a week weight training. So like upper A, lower A, upper B, lower B. And then twice a week high intensity interval style training, so developing that cardiovascular capacity. If we wanted more of a cardio focus, what I usually do with my in-person clients at summertime is they like to go out for runs, they like to do more cardio outside, so we will do more of a running plan, running training, cardiovascular training 4 times a week, and then the other 2 times a week are just for maintaining your strength. So we can get into some more cool stuff the more often you're able to train, but essentially that is how it works. So based on how many available days you have, I start creating a training plan that works for you based on what your goals are for the entire year, and we build it up block by block over the mesocycles. We also start incorporating certain habits, lifestyle habits. The CanFit Pro certification recommends every 66 days we should focus on. So basically every 2 months you want to incorporate a new habit from a behavior change perspective. That seems to be the best amount of time. I personally am too impatient to do that. I do one new habit every 3 weeks myself, but I can see how one habit every 2 months would really like nail it in, and we're constantly checking in to see how that habit is going, and it really makes it automatic. You start off with the lowest hanging fruit first, so the easiest habits, because we want to build momentum, and we want to you need proof of concept that you can actually stick to things, because a lot of people, they come in with training with a lot of failed attempts before, trying something and just failing at it and feeling like a loser. And so we want to build confidence by focusing on the easiest habits first, whatever those are for you. We get you a menu of habits to choose from. You rank each of them. You choose which ones you would want to implement for the year. You would rank them on a difficulty rating of 1 to 10. The ones on the lowest, the easiest ones to do that you've rated, we do those first, and then we progress to the harder habits afterwards. So that's kind of how we do it from a behavior change perspective. Obviously, with one new habit every 2 months, you got 4 habits per year, which doesn't sound like a lot, but if you have 4 really good habits every single year, you add that up. After 5 years, you're looking at 20 high quality habits. You're like a different person at that point, right? So, plus the identity change, the fact you're building the confidence in yourself, your belief in yourself, you can actually execute on the things that are important to you. You don't feel like a failure anymore. Like, these things are worth their weight in gold, right? So we incorporate the habits as part of the entire program for the year. Once you have the year plan set up, it's just a matter of walking you through it as an in-person trainer. What's going on, Arihana? Welcome to the stream. Somebody got into an accident here. That's how we would do it. As an in-person trainer, obviously I would create the training plan for you, and I would walk through the workouts. H is silent. Okay, good to know. If you guys have any questions, by the way, feel free to ask. But if you're working with me one-on-one in person, which I'm honestly not doing so much anymore, I'm actually trying to get away from all of that. I would just do the workouts with you, making sure that the form is good, making sure that everything is looking tight. Over time, usually clients will kind of start getting the idea of the form, but I'm kind of there just as like an extra motivation, accountability, as well as just as a safety precaution to make sure that your form is good. Obviously, with online training, it's pretty much the exact same thing, but I'm not there with you. So with my online training program, I don't actually, people think that it's like a call. With online training, it's actually more of like a coaching program. So kind of more like, think of it as almost like therapy for weight loss, where what I've realized as a in-person trainer, the reason why I started being an online trainer is because I realized, like, I give clients the training plan that they need and they get great results with that. I give them the nutrition plan that they need, but they're not following the nutrition plan, which is the main thing that will drive you the results when it comes to how you look and how you feel. You can get insane results in terms of muscle. You're not going to see any muscle if you don't burn the body fat that is hiding it, right? And so what I realized is, like, I can give you the entire map, but a lot of people struggle to follow. And so the online coaching is more of like almost kind of like a therapy, where we go into why are you not doing the stuff you know you need to do? What are the psychological beliefs that are blocking you from achieving your goal weight, and what are some strategies and tactics that we can implement for this week in general to set you up so we can build up a fundamental lifestyle so that you can not only lose the weight and actually get the six-pack or whatever the goal is, but maintain it for life and maintain it effortlessly, so it's kind of, you don't have to think about it anymore. I have a six-pack year-round, and it's just, you know, it's just like brushing my teeth to me. And so, hold on, I have to actually change lanes here. But that is why I started doing the online coaching. So the online coaching is actually more of like phone calls. We work one-on-one. We create, it's more about setting up the game plan for you and maintain and like running that game plan, running that program and system in the background, but also you get the training plan and the nutrition plan incorporated with that. And I also check in on you every single day, so you have daily accountability. I don't offer daily accountability with the in-person training. I only do daily accountability with online training to give you that little extra kick in the ass, like, hey, how's it going? What did you eat today? What time are you going to do the workout today? Are you going to be able to do the workout today? And we kind of work on game plans. Let's say something came up and you're not able to train that day, so then we figure out when would be a good time to train based on your recovery needs and all of that based on the program. So you really got, like, basically with online training, you have a personal trainer in your pocket, and whenever you need, you can just message me and I'm right there for you. I actually like that a lot better, and I actually think that it's a lot more valuable and people get a lot more results just because there's so much more that's covered with it. We're focusing more on the psychology and the actual strategy rather than just the training sessions, right? I care about performing good and looking good. Yeah, well then that would be my main demographic. I mean, what I focus on primarily is like weight loss, which would fit into looking good. Usually, most people, if you don't look good, it's because you have some body fat to burn. Even if you're skinny. If you're skinny and you don't like how you look, it's because you still have some body fat to burn, bottom line. And so that's really the main focus, is weight loss. But then after we get you to your goal weight, you should have an absolute insane physique, because we're also building muscle in the meantime while you're burning the fat. It is possible to build muscle and burn fat at the same time, especially if you are a beginner. What is going on here? And so we definitely focus on that in the program, but it's a complete body transformation. Most people, if you only have like 10, 20 pounds to lose, you can get a completely different look in 3 months following the program. And so, yeah, essentially that's how it works. So we create a game plan for the entire year. We break it up into 6 to 12 week chunks, and we work with it from there. We make adjustments every week as we go along. But that is actually going to wrap it up for today's live stream. If you guys enjoyed and got value out of this, be sure to subscribe. I think we're almost at 100 subscribers, so that's cool. Helps out a lot, and we'll be talking about more topics like this in the future. So be sure to stay tuned. Hope you guys have an amazing Friday. Happy Halloween for those who celebrate, and I will see you guys on the next one. Peace out.